Giant 5 Jeff from 2 Hacks Garage. Well, as you can see in the other videos, we've been doing a lot of work on getting this engine buttoned up, getting it ready to fire. This 521 cubic inch big block Ford is just going to make a whole lot of fun noise, but you can't make a whole lot of fun noise if you don't have spark. So what am I going to do in this video? Well, it's just going to be a quick video of putting spark plugs in. Now, mind you, I had to go with the 5/8 shank on this because these Speedmaster heads didn't have the machining for the recommended NGK plug size. So this is just an Autolite 3923 regular Ford spark plug. I checked the gap on that. It's supposed to be 35 thousandths. So I do have a feeler gauge here. A lot of people do have the spark plug feeler gauge where you can gap it and all that. However, I'm going to actually use this gauge here and check every single one of them and make adjustments as needed. So when installing spark plugs, one thing you do want to make sure you do is use a little anti-seize. You don't want this to gall up in your heads. That's never good. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get started on getting these in there. And I'm also going to do some wiring up from the distributor to the plugs. And one thing important, I think in a video quite a long time ago, I talked about documentation and having books. Well, if you don't know the firing order of your actual engine you're working on, it's always good to have like these old motor auto repair manuals. This one happens to be from 1970. This one's Jimmy's. I do have a whole bunch of these at home. But where this comes in handy is, if you need to know your firing order, where your plug wires need to go, and all that fun jazz, well, you find it in the manual. And as you can see in this one, right there where it says 429, it tells you the order. Now, with that, what we had already done when we put this distributor in, we already marked which one is number one. So having that mark on there, we'll be able to determine, based upon this diagram, of where these wires need to go. So with that, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started on that and get to wiring, get all that stuff done. Just one more step closer to making a shitload of noise. Not only is it going to be fun, we'll get that cam broken in so we can start getting this thing in the car. No Name Nationals, 100 and some days left, and I still have a whole lot of work to do. So this is just getting us one step closer. So you know what, guys? Let's get to work. See you in a few. Well, I tell you what, guys, got that done in a pretty quick amount of time. So basically what we did in that video was we put the spark plugs in, wired it up, referred to a data book, any manual that had the firing order. It's very important if you don't have that to get this done right. Used JEGS 8mm spark plug wires. I use Autolite spark plugs, and I do have the JEGS distributor also up there. That's going to hook to an MSD 6AL. But as you saw in the video, what I did was I put the plugs in, and I did use a little anti-seize. It's always important to do that. You don't want it to gall up in there. In fact, when you go to a lot of these auto parts stores, they'll actually have the anti-seize up at the counter. Make sure you grab that. It'll help you with failures down the road. Yeah, and then, from there, putting the wires on, I put the Nomex boots, these wire separators. I'm not 100% happy the way it looks, but it's going to do its job. Most important part, that is functional. One thing that Jimmy and I did discuss is indexing spark plugs. And what happens is when you index a spark plug, you're actually making sure the tip of this is facing down in the piston, and I'll show you in a second. They do make indexing spark plug washers for that. However, I didn't get it. Jimmy's talked that he's tried it multiple ways in different drag racing applications, and he didn't see that much of a difference. I know there's a lot of debate on that, but seeing I didn't have the washers, and this is kind of a straight strip motor, we decided to just go with the 35 thousandths gap and not index them. So let me show you what indexing is real quick. So indexing is, you got your tip here. You make sure that is pointing down. So when your piston is coming up, that flame is open right there. Get a little better picture. So piston's going up, and you can see that. So instead of it being turned in there in a different way, you have these washers that go on there, and you mark it and you index them in there. So you're guaranteed when your piston's coming up, bam, 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 going boom, that your flame is actually sparking down towards the fuel on that. We didn't do that. Might be something I look into. I'm always looking for ways to make a little bit more power. But yeah, with that, guys, we got all this done. Really, the next step is we're working on the engine run stand. And yeah, guys, so yeah, we are that much closer to firing this thing up. See you tomorrow.